Nagash scowled as he recognized many of the faces of the young men who stood in serried ranks behind their ambassador. Many of the men bore livid bruises on their limbs or chests, and several sported fresh bandages spotted with blood. To a man, their faces were downcast, their chins hanging low in shame. They were the noblemen taken prisoner in the disastrous defeat just short a month ago. Nagash grasped the nature of Zandri's plan at once, and eyed his brother speculatively. "The people of the living city thank Nekhumet, your great king, for this expression of charity and mercy," Thutep declared, his hands clasped across his chest as he bowed deeply. "Let their return signal a new era of peace and prosperity for the people of the blessed land." Cheers rang out once more. Khemri leaned close to his master, saying, "Zandri is giving back all their prisoners without asking even a token ransom. It's madness." Nagash was careful to keep his bitter dismay a secret. "Not at all," the Grand Hierophant said. "The gesture wasn't made for Thutep's benefit, but for the other ambassadors." When Khemri gave his master a blank stare, Nagash shot him an irritated look. "Can't you see? It's a carefully calculated insult and Nekhumet's opening diplomatic gambit. By making a great show of handing back our noblemen without demanding a punishing ransom, he's telling the rest of Nehara that we're no threat to him." He took in the entire chamber in a sharp sweep of his hand. "Thutep is dead, and the jackals are circling, looking to grab whatever influence they can. Zandri just leapt to the front of the pack, and Thutep is too naive to see it." Suddenly, Thutep turned as though he'd caught the sound of his name. His gaze alighted on Nagash, and after a moment, his smile widened. "Welcome, brother," he said, beckoning to the Grand Hierophant. "I'm glad you're here to witness the end of our feud with Zandri. Now the past can be put aside and forgotten." Nagash favored the ambassador from Zandri with a cold, implacable stare. "I have come to tell you that our father's body has been prepared for its journey," he said to his brother. "We will bear him to the Great Pyramid an hour before sunset, in accordance with the wishes of the priests." The ambassador heard the news, and his expression grew somber. He bowed his head to Thutep and said, "Although we marched to war against your father, he was a bold warrior and a great king, and we mourn his death along with the rest of Nehara. We would therefore humbly offer a gift on behalf of the people of Zandri to accompany Thutep on his journey into the afterlife." Thutep received the news with a grave nod. "Very well," he said. "Let us see this gift." The ambassador beckoned, and a stir went up at the far end of the procession. The former prisoners who were awaiting Thutep's leave to return to their families were brushed to either side by a knot of burly, bare-chested slaves, dragging a trio of black-garbed figures whom they deposited quickly at the ambassador's feet before hurriedly withdrawing. Nagash studied the three figures carefully. They were tall and slender, clad in a strange combination of tattered woolen robes and some kind of dark leather armor that covered their torsos and abdomen. Two of them were female, with long, white hair that hung in unkempt tangles down to their waists. The male's hair was black as jet, almost as long, and equally tangled. Their skin, what little Nagash could see of it, was whiter than alabaster. Their features were fine-boned and delicate, with pointed chins, sharp noses, and angular cheekbones. They were beautiful in a strange, almost dreadful way, and for all that they appeared fragile compared to the Neharans around them, they carried an aura of menace that somehow unsettled him. The male glanced at Nagash. His expression was slack, and his black eyes were vacant. All three of them had been heavily drugged. Curious whispers spread through the court. Thutep stared at the strange creatures with a mix of fascination and revulsion, as though he had come upon a clutch of cobras. "What are they?" he asked. "They call themselves Druchii, Great One," the ambassador said quickly. "Their ship grounded off our coast during a terrible storm only a few months ago, and they have served as slaves in the royal household ever since." At the sound of the word slave, the male Druchii turned his head to the ambassador and hissed something in a sibilant, snake-like tongue. The men from Zandri blanched at the sound, but quickly recovered. "They are a wonder, are they not?" he said. "It is our king's wish that they attend upon Khutep's spirit in the afterlife." Thutep was taken aback by the offer. Material goods were one thing, an outsider offering slaves for the service of a dead king was something else. "Well, it's certainly a generous gift," he said slowly, unwilling to give offense. Nagash watched the entire exchange with increasing interest. What was the Zandri delegation playing at? Obviously, there was much more to this than met the eye. Then he noticed one of the females steady herself and bend her head in concentration. She tried to speak, slurring the words of her chilling language, but nevertheless, Nagash sensed a faint wave of power emanate from her like an icy desert wind. He stiffened, suddenly alert. Could it be? The Grand Hierophant turned to Thutep. "Zandri's offer is unprecedented," he said, struggling to keep his voice even. "But that does not make it unwelcome. I say we should accept their gift in the spirit it was given, Great One." Thutep beamed. "So be it," he declared. "The slaves should be conducted to the temple," he said to Nagash. "Will you see to it?" Nagash smiled. "I should like nothing more," he replied.